white people. Lately, I have been foraging for weeds. Yeah, I said weeds. That's purple dead nettle right there. And I have been making salves and tinctures and infusions so that I can make soap. Why am I doing this? Because I saw some lady on Facebook that makes a living doing that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so freaking cool. I am going to integrate that into the stuff that I have. Because, you know, a lot of soapers that I watch on YouTube, they have like special things that they release, special releases or whatever, and I'm like, well, you know, in order to be successful, you just copy successful people. You make it your own, but you know, you kind of do what they're doing. But anyway, so the more that I have been learning about these weeds, the more that I am realizing that these weeds are have more powerful healing abilities, and they're better for our bodies than anything that you can get from a doctor or a pharmacy or, you know, whatever. And then it's leading me to wonder, why is it that we even got away from this system? You know, there's a generation, the baby boomer generation, they like their packaged meals. I've been really surprised at, you know, they'll eat like fish fingers and just frozen food It's like when I grew up, I was very poor when I grew up. And my mom made everything from scratch. And my mom was not a good cook. She's gotten better, you know, she's in her 70s now. She's gotten better. But when I was younger, nope, she was not a good cook at all. And I remember when dehydrated potatoes or potato flakes, where my mom bought some and she made some like potato flake soup. My poor dad, he was so angry. He was so angry. I think I was probably like 10 years old at the time. I remember that so vividly. And the thing is that there was no fast food places to go to. It wasn't like my dad can run down to the gas station and say, you know, screw you people, I'm going to go to the corner store and go get me some fried chicken and JoJo's. We didn't have that then. You know, my dad was at the mercy of whatever my mother served. And actually, we are all at the mercy. And my mom was such a bad cook that the neighbor showed me how to gracefully spit out my food into a napkin so I wouldn't get in trouble for not eating it. But anyway, so I'm really thinking about, why is it that people allowed this? You know, I mean, people like convenience. We all like convenience, but there's that disconnect, you know. Why is it that people want to be so reliable? They want to be taken care of. They don't want to be self-sufficient. And, you know, and then here we are in the current state of affairs, and we've got so many people who just believe a narrative. You know, it doesn't matter who delivers that narrative to them. They just believe it, and you can present them with all kinds of evidence, and they just dig their heels in. So lately I've been watching, besides, you know, YouTube channels and different social media channels about, you know, herbs and foraging herbs or weeds, I guess you could call them. And I've also been watching channels on mental health. And there's one that called Inner Integration. Somebody suggested that to me. I think it was Mrs. Johnny Rico. That's her handle for YouTube. Anyway, so I've been watching a bunch of videos on that channel, and let me tell you something. It's really, you know that there's people out there with mental health problems, and you know that they're struggling to have some sort of, like, they want to have power over you. And, you know, I'm 51 now, and so when people play these mental games, it just doesn't have the same effect, because I just don't care. You know, people don't have that kind of, because I'm self-sufficient. So people don't have that kind of control over me, and people who try to, you know, play a manipulative game, well, they're not controlling whether I eat, they're not controlling whether I have an income, they're not controlling, you know, anything in my life, so I can easily just ignore them, you know. And anyway, so this lady who has this channel, Inner Integration, she gives you some real good tips on how to identify people who are playing manipulation games and how to deflect them. And, you know, even though I said I'm pretty good at deflecting people who are playing manipulation games, it's not like I'm some sort of expert. It just, you know, my point of reference is I just don't care. And then today I was looking at her channel to see if she posted any new videos, because it's not like I'm religiously watching that channel, but there was one that she posted a month ago, and she's interviewing this guy who's in Los Angeles. I think he's like a psychologist or something like that. And anyway, I will link that in the description, and it's pretty powerful, because he said that he said a lot of really powerful things, and to prioritize is just really difficult. So one of the things that he pointed out was, now that the government is backing off on mandates, you know who's going to be reinforcing those mandates? It's the scared people. And, people are scared because it's virtuous to be scared. It's virtuous to say, I'm doing it for the greater good, without thinking for yourself, or, because there's mountains and mountains of evidence that, this whole thing is a pandemic. And, but, there's people that they're cognitive dissonance, and they just digging their heels in, and they don't want to believe it because of what the talking box has told them. They want to absolutely believe that talking box. Fine, let them believe the talking box. But unfortunately, the people who are resisting the manipulation and the psyop, these are the people who are going to be met with violence, and they are being met with violence. People who aren't complying. Like I've told you guys that I've gotten kicked out of places because I wouldn't comply, and I've had gosh, you wouldn't believe this. They'd send like their biggest guys stomping after me. It's like, okay, what are you gonna do? Hit a little girl or something? You a big man? I do that with men who get a little too big for their britches, and it works pretty well. So if you're in any sort of a situation, but you have to, like if you're dealing with somebody who has integrity and they want to put their hands on you, they won't. If you bring that to them, it's like, what are you going to do? Put your hands on me or something? You're going to make me change my mind? Just ridiculous. But anyway, so I really like this channel integration. And what was I saying about, so it's going to be the inmates that are going to be running the asylum, rather than, and they're going to be enforcing the mandates, the mask mandates, and all this other stuff. And Gary, who has a channel called Grindall61, for the life of me, I cannot remember Gary's last name, but Grindall61, he said that he went to a farmer's market in Southern California. He lives out in Southern California, and he said that everybody there, except for him, was wearing a face diaper. But there was no face diaper police, and nobody was forcing them to comply, and they were all wearing a face diaper. So it's, and if you've taken the time to travel around the U.S., the further south you go, the freer you're going to be. So Tennessee passed, I think I said this in my last video, that Tennessee passed some legislation saying that, you can't discriminate against people who don't want to get, the poison stab, whatever. Well, anyway, I think that's about it for now. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your thoughts below.